you end up with a record, and the record that reflects a number on your and so many people, because of the mayor's own our work, because they've been arrested, they've been charged. We have evidence here in our investigation of in Chattanooga area of policing, that policing is highly lawful. It does not obey them. And in the cases we've investigated here at the David Tulis, Nooganomics.com, perjury, misdemeanor perjury, but felony perjury officers. There was a refusal to prosecute by the district attorney, and in the cases in which that we have explored, the victims who happen to be black, the victims still have no word on the administrative claims. The decision was made in August. The investigations were completed in August, and here we are in the new year, and no decision has been made to fire these officers or to reprimand them. And so we have officers who have committed felony perjury against people on throwaway charges, that being disorderly conduct, and they have still not been fired for that, since they will not, their crimes will not be prosecuted as crimes. Perjury gets a pass, and other police officers, I hope in the fact that we've covered these cases, we hope that they have been chastened to not charge and arrest people, not even to talk to people, and certainly not to arrest them without probable cause. Probable cause and the lack of probable cause is the grave problem that policing brings. And what is the effect? Well, the effect is someone's arrested. The effect is someone's indicted. Someone has to plea bargain, or one has to be agree to terms with the district attorney, who herds people together at preliminary hearings and generally gets concessions from defendants. And that concession is a blot on your record until you die, or if you can't, or you can maybe have it expunged, which happens to some people. Hanson Melvin is having his case expunged for his benefit, and he already has a blot on his record from a crime he committed as a young man, and so that is holding him back. And many other people, there are thousands of them in Chattanooga, have this blot on the record because of the executive branch of city government, the executive branch from all the prior mayors, and so here Mayor Burke is wanting to do a patch. The patch is a good one. I mean, it does not solve the main problem, which is policing itself, policing per se, the war of the state against the citizenry. But it is an important patch, and he will want to help people who have criminal records, to be able to obtain expungement and help in that direction. And it would be good if we could have Christian ministries, Christian churches, take a part in this program of helping people obtain expungements of their record. And the reason is, an expungement is like God's grace. An expungement will let Hanson Melvin, who's a Christian, very fine Christian man, a father of 3 children, hardworking, high school graduate, will let him be able to say to a potential future employer, as he climbs his way higher in the marketplace of labor, to say, no, I've never been convicted or even charged with disorderly conduct in the case we've discussed, and he can say it truthfully and lawfully because of the expungement. So the expungement, like God's forgiveness, lets you say, I've not sinned. And in Christianity, in the gospel narrative of the human condition, the sinner is allowed to say, I'm not a sinner, by the virtue of Christ's blood and the virtue of Christ's sacrifice on my behalf, where he chose me from before time and died for me as a wretched sinner, as an enemy, as a rebel. And now that I understand that, I claim his promises to me, and I have my sins blotted out before the judge, which of course the judge is God the Father, who grants his Son the judgment of all things in the end. And so that's the same thing as an expungement. You can say truthfully, I am not guilty of this crime. I've not been charged with this crime. There is no record of it. And it is very much akin. Expungement is very much akin as a legal remedy for the problem that Mayor Burke is addressing, to the promises of Christianity, to the promises of the sweet savor of the gospel message across Hamilton County, across Chattanooga. And if you, my listener, are tuning in from a far place or watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, you too, in your place, there is this promise of the Lord Jesus, who makes all things right and who represents true justice. In Christ there is grace, and grace has as its necessary component the idea of justice. There is retribution and wrath for the wicked, for the ungracious, if you will, right? For the one who violates God's commands, offending Him first, and then offending people by depriving them of their property, their lives, their honor, their vigor, and their rights. Right? That's what crime is. Crime is an offense first against God, and then against man. Now, the concurrent grand jury has given a report, and I was glad to read about it in the Chattanoogan this morning. The Chattanoogan has posted much of what the concurrent grand jury has to say about the problem of expungements and the problem of the court system and the legal system, which today it's fair to call it an judicial industrial complex. It is a complex where everything is turned to profit. The profiteer is the state itself. It continues its claims of legitimacy through the courts, through its pretended justice, its pretended meting out of law upon people. And while I would say that well, I won't get into a discussion about victimless crimes. I think if there is a crime, there is a victim. Otherwise, it's not a crime. It's just an offense against tradition or custom. And many of those who are ground up in the complex are simply those who, being poor of spirit, poor of mind, sometimes can't keep track of their court dates, and so they don't have the means of getting to court. They don't have the means of transportation. They don't have the means of paying their child support, and so they are on the outs. The court's grand jury gives a report, and it's there's a bit of sort of trash in this story at the end. It looks like the editor didn't quite finish the work of putting everything together and cleaning things up, but nonetheless, if you piece through that, even in the lower part of the story, you can see some of what the story is about. There was a tour of the Silverdale Workhouse. There are observations on the county jail and recommendations on the community corrections program. There are two foremen named Jimmy Anderson is one. There's also a woman named as a foreman. Her name is Michelle Bertani. She is an elementary Spanish instructor at St. Nicholas School, and she has some comments in the report. This is by the way, at Chattanoogan.com. The thing of a special interest is touching on the economy, and that would be the recommendation of the concurrent grand jury. We recommend reopening of trade and vocational schools in high school education to provide training and develop skills for productive workforce employment beyond minimum wage jobs that are not adequate, the jurors say, to sustain an individual trying to live independently on her own. An overwhelming percentage of the cases we heard as grand jurors, of course, the grand jury, by the way, is the human filter against the state's district attorney. The state's attorney, the DA, and his office are churning out accusations. Their job is to accuse. They are accusers. Neil Pinkston is chief accuser. He is always the victim. The state is always the victim in all of these crimes, not the real victim, right? The state is the victim, and it will insist on its honor and its prerogatives through him. And so the grand jury decides whether a particular case that comes before it deserves a trial. And in the trial, of course, that is by the petit jury, the 12 decide the facts and the law in those cases. And so here, this report says that we've heard 500 cases, and in two tours, it took 2 tours and had various conversations. But the part in this report about trade school says that an overwhelming percentage of cases we heard involve gangs and or drugs. In at least 40 or 50% of the cases, the age of the defendant is below 35 years. We believe that work can be a deterrent to joining gangs or getting involved in mischief and or illegal activity. and therefore more opportunities for work programs and employment to become a productive member of society are needed. Also, the body recommends a criminal court position. So I think it's worth noting that this recommendation follows that somewhat of Andy Burke, who wants to have training programs in poor areas. Larry Groen, the candidate for mayor, also a conservative Christian man from Stewart Heights Baptist Church, wants to have a trade vocational school, but not part of the school system. It's something that would be created partly by the city government, partly by private investors or private donors, perhaps, using existing factory buildings to provide training in everything from welding to automotive repair, HVAC repair and maintenance, and things of this kind, all of which continue to be highly needful. Carpentry, things of this kind. But not for high schoolers, because it would not be part of the county school system. The county having taken over the school system from the city some years ago, Larry Groen's proposal would deal with adults, or maybe even high school dropouts, people who are dropped out of school, having good sense perhaps to drop out, can learn a trade in a vocational school. And then Chris Long, who is the third candidate for mayor, the developer and former developer, builder, and architectural consultant, he also says that he has had that in his plank from the very beginning, that there needs to be schooling for people to become trained in professions and callings in very serviceable fields that are being neglected and ignored. Well, this is David Tulis. I do thank you for giving me a couple of minutes of your time. We argue that near is better than far, that small is better than big, that simple beats complex, and in the details, down in the footnotes, where the good people like to spar with their court citations, we've got personal is better than corporate, and physical than abstract. This is David Tulis. Voluntarism, the idea of voluntary action, is a real winner. We'll find out how.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Final expenses, funeral costs, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.
$25 goes by quickly these days, and 25 cents still just a quarter. 25 is the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates.
Hi, I'm Chip Chapman with this question. Are you concerned about getting a timely refund this year? There is a solution. Ask Schultz & Associates about Refund Advantage. It's a no-interest loan that allows you to get your tax refund quickly. But some tax refund product fees do apply, so make sure and understand the details. You can receive your refund quickly via check or prepaid credit card. Ask about Refund Advantage when you visit Schultz & Associates, 6310 Bonnie Oaks Drive, or call 899-1130. Schultz & Associates.
Baseball sluggers often wear the number 25, or 25 is a full MLB roster. Just happens 25 is also the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates, 899-1130.
Are you shovel ready to build a house, but you're not a builder? Are you shovel ready? Michael's Homes is ready to bulldoze its way to a solution for you. You have ideas on what you want in a house, but you're looking for someone to bring your ideas into a plan and turn your plan into a house. Michael's Homes, custom builder. Michael's Homes has lots available at a new subdivision, River Bay Estates, that's Harrison. Maybe River Watch in Saudi Daisy. Choices galore, lots, houses, beautiful homes all over Chattanooga. The Canyons, Hickson, Crystal Brook, Appleton. Drive in, take a look, consult with us. We build on your lot or ours. Homes-Chattanooga.com.
Call 423-413-9929. And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field lines failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. That happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
Your marriage is over. You've been abandoned, betrayed. You're angry, shattered, and heartbroken. Don't go it alone. When you are facing divorce, you need an experienced advocate to help protect your rights in future. And you need it from a man with a sympathetic heart, but a hard nose. Attorney Clay Whitaker will fight for you in this most confusing and bitter time in your life. Clay Whitaker, 756-6400.
There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is a choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing, mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Nooga Radio News. Russell Stroud reporting. A high-speed chase from Bradley County into Hamilton County began when an officer noticed a man pull through a red light and not use his turn signal. He tried to pull over the man, but the man sped up and went onto I-75 south towards Hamilton County. From there, Hamilton County Sheriff's deputies chased the vehicle until it crashed at the Bonnie Oaks exit. They surrounded the vehicle and arrested the man inside. Police say they found a .380 caliber handgun inside of his right front pocket and a bag of methamphetamine and ammunition inside the vehicle. The man's name, they say, is Brackus Ford, who's 22 years old from Cleveland. The outside lanes of the Hickson overpass over Highway 153 are going to be closed until May 17th, 2018 for repairs. You'll still be able to go over the overpass, but it's going to be a tighter squeeze. Senator Lamar Alexander says you should inject some Tennessee common sense into the federal system and repeal the federal death tax. That's the estate tax you pay when a family member dies. It's going on in the Tennessee Valley. It's going on Nooga Radio News.
Expect a clear and chilly start here Wednesday. We'll see some more clouds rolling for the afternoon, but mild highs 62 to 65 with a late shower possible tonight. More showers will pass through, diminishing after midnight, lows lower 40s. Breezy, cooler Thursday highs into the upper 40s, around freezing by Friday morning. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, Ringgold, and now 5203 Brainerd Road. That's Guthrie's. And I'm Source 12's Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
We had some dealings with a local university's communications department suggesting that it would be great if we had an intern at our radio station, someone who would come and learn the ropes a bit, kind of be in the context of radio professionals, journalists, writers, and hosts such as myself. I'm David Tulis. And no response yet. I was told, well, could you please send a description of what the person's duties would be? And I was slightly piqued by that requirement, if you will. And I answered back. I said, if there's anybody who would like to be an intern, just have them call me. And I declined or refused to write a job description of what this person would be doing. Now, why am I just being silly and not responding that way, not acceding to the request to inform my prospective intern what that person would be doing? Well, in a small business, which is what I run here at our radio station, a small local business under the protection of the First Amendment, I don't have time for Mickey Mouse details like that, Mickey Mouse project. It would take me half an hour to figure out what this person would do, and then to write it up, make sure I didn't have any typos in it, and make sure that the subjects and the verbs agreed, and then to send that off and then have it posted somewhere when things might change. And so I did something better, I thought. I said, well, just have anybody who's interested in radio just call me. And I'm a very open person. I'm glad to meet with anybody really on any topic, including you, my listener. If you want to talk to me about anything at all, just call me. Just call me. And if you want to, just by the way, you want to get on the air, our phone number here is 800-8949. That's 800-8949. I generally don't get a lot of calls. I don't solicit calls, partly because I just have too much work to do every day here on the David Tulis program. And I think in a way you kind of want me to do the work that I've assigned myself, because you, my listener, think that that's worthy for you and helpful to you. So I don't have time really to write a description, even if it's 3 or 4 or 5 points about the work involved for the intern here at Nooga Radio, the great radio station. And so I haven't heard back from that institution of higher learning, even though there are probably dozens and dozens of young people, probably all of them very liberal, who would want to find out about the radio business and have me assign some things just on the spot. Well, for example, here's a job that I have a son who's 14. Here's a job that I told him yesterday that he could do. It's a little replevin job. And replevin is it's a legal concept, and I don't think he knew what I was talking about, but that's what I call it, the replevin project. And that simply involves having a listing of every piece of equipment that we have here at our studio and elsewhere. And so it would be a list that has serial numbers, name of object, and a photograph. It will all be built on a Google Doc. And so we have a list of all of our assets if in case we ever have insurance problem, let's say, right? Let's say we have a fire in this building, and then we make a claim on insurance. We can have this document that gives the details, and so that's an internship kind of job, right? And I couldn't see it coming, but I thought about it yesterday when I asked Russell, our news director, if he had done that yet, and so it remains a task to be done by, in this case, a 14-year-old boy who's going to get pulled away from his homeschool lessons in God's good grace and help out. Well, internships are on the topic also, or on the agenda also at the Public Education Foundation. It had a program according to a brief in the Chattanooga Times-Free Press today. It had a program last year that was called Step Up, and it helped 75 interns gain experience in a variety of fields. Organizers plan to double the program and help this coming summer, 150 young people to gain some kind of experience, to rub elbows, if you will, with professionals who are busy about their work, but have a charitable impulse. An intern is as much about training someone in a field as getting free labor, and it's a swap, it's a trade-off. But the owners or the managers of a business want to have young people who have some interest in their work, and they want to sell the profession in which they have engaged to the intern. The internship, according to the TFP, provides sophomores, juniors, and seniors from low-income households with work readiness training, helping them to learn to be successful in an interview, to be professional on the job. And there's some feedback and support. And the manager of this program is Jeff Rector, whose name is mentioned in the Times Free Press story this morning. The gist of this program is to give students experience and information, he says, they typically wouldn't have the opportunity to get. There are enough hurdles for students this age, but for this low-income group, there seems to be some more hurdles we are hoping to help them take out of the way. And the summers earned, last summer, the interns earned more than $100,000 in combined interns, and 100% of the interns said they would participate again in the program if it were offered. That is good news, and internships. If you're successful in your field, as I think I'm successful in my field, I always have that interest of helping someone along, and it's called the use of social capital, where someone who's beneath my level of training learns a little bit about it, helps me out with some detail work, maybe some grunt work, smells the room in which the work is done, sniffs the coffee, smells the lunch that the news director rushes down his throat, the ramen noodle dish that he gulps down between shows, things like that. He gets to hear what kind of phone calls come in, what kind of problems there are, is the transmitter down, things of this kind that beset someone in my field. And there's that valuable context to suggest to this person that there's a larger world, and it's very pressing, it's very busy, and I've in a way I'm amazed at the trouble I've had at finding interns. I'm the editor of a homeschool newsletter, just by the way, and I'm on newsletter deadline. My wife Jeanette sent me her editorial yesterday night and demanded that I put it in on the editorial page to see if it fitted, and if it runs long, does she need an art element to pad it out to fill the jump space? And in that newsletter, I've published ads for interns here with David Tulis. And I've already picked out an intern for myself. He's 11 years old, and his name is Robert, and he's a young man at my church. And the reason I picked him out over all the other young men including one who has a perfect SAT score, a homeschool boy with a perfect SAT score, his name is he wants someone who wants to go into engineering. Monty Poole is his name. He's 17 or so, 18, and I offered the job as intern to an 11-year-old boy who's clearly not as capable as someone who's 17 or 18, and who doesn't drive and so on. But I did because in him I saw the kind of man I want to work with in the future. And here's how I determined that. I determined it by the fact that every time he's there, sometimes his family is absent from worship because his father has a long-term illness, and the family just can't get to our church from Dayton. He's there. When he's there, he offers to help me clean the tables in the dining hall. And often I find young men they'll chat with the nice girls, and while I'm around them sweeping and doing the tables, and they don't offer to help me. And that I grind a little bit about that. But here's this cheerful Robert, 11, who comes and offers to help me. And one Sunday when I missed, he led the cleanup crew of that small church in the dining hall of the Lord's Day meal between the first and the second service. So that's my man. That's my young man, and that's the kind of person who, as I say, recommends himself. And why? How does he recommend himself? He's looking out for the customer. He's looking out for other people. That's the kind of person. He's valuable in. I could be running a software business. I could be running a gardening service business. I could be running a landscape business. I could be involved in repair of motorbikes. Whatever I'm in, if I see a man like that, I'm going to grab him. I'm going to grab that young man, even at age 11. So what I've got to do is figure out a way to have him become the intern of my station. And I think it would be I would put a premium on being the intern of someone like David Tulis. I'm just an ordinary writer. A poor writer was what I am. I get up very early in the morning. So if I had an intern, I'd say, okay, well, you're with me all day long, in and out for lunch, interviews. If I'm going on sales calls, if I'm going to close a sale with the salesman, you're coming with me on that. You're going to see everything I do, and we're going to do it for a week, okay? 1 week solid. You just endure this exhausting schedule, and even sit in on family worship before the day is out. with my family after dinner. You do all those things, and then you're done. Then a young man like that, he's going to see all about ideas. He's going to hear defense of the marketplace. He's going to hear the names of important writers. He'll see my book bag that I bring to the studio every day, even though sometimes I never get to anything in it. I have this book bag here with John Calvin's picture on one side and R.J. Rushdoony on the other. And he would be able to see in that book bag what David Tulis looks at. Now, I want to get to the question of a very disturbing subject. It's a very disturbing subject. And no writers in Chattanooga, journalists in Chattanooga, do not touch this subject. And I say that because there are reports that describe the subject, but there is not really an analysis of it. There's no analysis of the subject except at Nooganomics.com, which, by the way, is our chief sponsor. That's Nooganomics.com, the website for the man who matters, that covers local economy, the free market. And the argument at Nooganomics.com, again, not a popular website. It's not popular, and I'm very happy that it's not popular, because if to be popular, to maintain popularity, I have to show skimpily clad girls and actresses, and men with bulging muscles lifting weights, and have screaming headlines and a lot of clickbait. I don't do clickbait, and so Nooganomics is a very aggressive investigative and news analysis site. Doesn't have a huge amount of volume on it every day, but it does have enough for the man who matters, and who recognizes that he matters, and who recognizes that he needs to help other people to think more clearly about the issues. And the issue in question, the dangerous and violent subject, is a subject of extraordinary violence that needs to come into the mayoral campaign. And that subject is the justified, statutory, non-judicial summary execution, the summary execution by city employees of citizens. It happens a great deal. And if you want to find out, if you want to put a name to this topic, maybe that's the best way to handle it. You just have to go to Nooganomics.com and look up the name of a plumber, okay? It starts with a plumber. His name is Todd Stevenson, and he was gunned down to point-blank range by an East Ridge city employee. A municipal government employee executed a man in the street on YouTube. It happened on YouTube. It is the most amazing story and the most amazing thing that we can have city employees in places such as East Ridge, which is just a municipal corporation. That's all it is, a municipal corporation with civil authority, empowered by the General Assembly to provide public services to residents of a little area that is incorporated as East Ridge. How can an employee of that corporation execute in cold blood a plumber on the edge of his property on, I think, Prigmore Street in East Ridge? The employee is city police officer Daniel Stevenson. It happened in 2016, and Sheriff Jim Hammond said it was okay, and the DA said this summary capital punishment by a city employee of a very riled up resident was allowed by statute, statutorily allowed, because there is a provision in which police officers, unlike anybody else, can kill when their orders are not obeyed. They can kill under a series of legacy rules and theories that control policing today. Policing is a reminder that we don't live in a free state and that we're not a free people. Though we can exercise our liberties and our constitutionally guaranteed rights under them, it's very difficult, and there is constant pressure against the common man, against the individual. And Todd Browning is such a one as you can read about. But let me just tell you in a nutshell what happened. The theory upon which Officer Stevenson acted in this area that is crying for reform in the Chattanooga mayor's race, there's a reform crying to be made, neglected and ignored, and will not be touched by Mayor Andy Burke. Andy Burke will not do anything in the direction of reform, even though reform favors all the people who read the Chattanooga News Chronicle, the voice of the progressive African-American community in Chattanooga. The Chronicle is the newspaper for black people. It's about black people, by black people, and cares about the progressive interests of the minority race in this city. And the reforms that are needed to be discussed in the mayor's race will not be discussed by the mayor himself. He will not touch them. And in fact, the certainty that of his not doing that, we can be sure has been cemented by news of the past few days, and that is the Fraternal Order of Police having endorsed the mayor, the larger of the two lodges, Masonic tradition lodges, the larger of the two has endorsed the mayor, which means that they know he is their friend. They know that he is not going to do anything to require them to change their habits of policing and their authority for justified summary executions. And that's what they are. They're justified in the Tennessee Code under the police killing exemption statute in Tennessee Code annotated 3911-620. 620. Use of deadly force by a law enforcement officer is the word there. And the theory under which Officer Stevenson operated is the line in the sand theory. The line in the sand theory that allows for the execution of a very angry man who clearly was in a mental crisis. He was having a mental crisis, and the confrontation prompted a suicidal act. It prompted a suicidal act, which Daniel Stevenson, the officer, obliged him to complete. He completed it by pulling the trigger of his AR-15, or it was an M16, 4 times flat in the chest. Very high-powered ammunition. The .223 caliber ammunition, when it hits, it's not a killing round, it's a wounding round, and when it goes in, it spins in the body, so it tears the body to shreds as it goes through, and finally lodges or comes out the back end. And then, as the man was down, a fifth shot. And in the YouTube video, you can see the brass when it plinks against the windshield of the cruiser in which the camera is mounted. It's very noisy, clattering sound of this .223 caliber brass pieces hitting the window. And with the force with which it hits that window suggests the great power of the ammunition itself, the projectile itself that tore into Todd Browning, the plumber. Mr. Browning was not being very wise, and he crossed the line in the sand. He had caused a scene earlier in the day in an auto parts store in East Ridge. He was yelling, screaming. He was threatening customers with a knife. He was throwing objects around, threatening to kill people, according to a lawyer hired by Lieutenant Daniel Stevenson. And his eyes were bulging like he might have been on drugs. Mr. Haas says in the store, the Lieutenant Stevenson ordered the suspect to stand down, show him his hands, and comply. The suspect threatened to kill the officer, kill himself, and charged at Lieutenant Stevenson. But because Lieutenant Stevenson did not see a knife or other weapon in his hand, he did not fire. Very good. But then on the side of the street in front of Mr. Browning's house, as a plumber, he had a plumbing piece of equipment, kind of a tool, a long kind of a iron rod that Haas says could have killed somebody, right? It could have killed somebody. And so there was a confrontation, and the cops said, "Don't cross into the street." The man was on the side of the street screaming at the top of his lungs, making reference of his wife and children, or wife and child. He made some reference to that. He was clearly having a tantrum. He was very unwise. And he violated numerous prohibitions in the book of Proverbs that talk about your tongue, talk about maintaining your composure, talk about not causing offense. He violated all those rules from God directly to him, and then ended up being killed. Now, the officer didn't have to kill him. And I propose several local economy answers to that kind of confrontation. They're very local economy. They're very humane. And they saved the life of a man who has clearly mental problems. Because if you threaten to kill yourself and then confront the officer, in the moment that he was killed, didn't have the pipe over his head. He wasn't charging the officer. He wasn't. His arms were not up; they were down by his side, though they were bent slightly at the elbows. If you look at the YouTube video at Nooganomics.com, you can go to Nooganomics.com and read the story. It's worth reading. But there are some questions that we want to talk about, and they cannot come to the mind of the officer. They cannot come to the mind of the voter until they're brought up in the campaign. And I propose local economy remarks as a solution to these executions. And we had Chris Sexton shot down in Saudi Daisy a few days ago. And also, again, a confrontation by a man who had, in a fit of mental illness, a man with spiritual problems, serious spiritual problems. They're called mental problems. He presented himself with his weapon in front of an array of officers, and they gunned him down, shot him dead on the spot in Saudi Daisy. This is David Tulis.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
On this cruise ship, your favorite pool makes its own waves. The sun is getting low. You're not too bad yourself. Smart guy. Took advice and deals from Expedia in Chattanooga. Great food, great fellow passengers, made friends. Terrific prices, free upgrades. Use the card with the onboard credit for a cold one. Maybe use it in the game room. Expedia Rail, Expedia Flights, Expedia Cars. Maybe red tie for dinner. Expedia Cruise Ship Centers on Gun Barrel near Best Buy. 551-3770.
Cash, 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 and more cash. No, but it'll get you the gold, silver, and diamonds just for her that may get you some loving.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
It's for Valentine's Day. Are you crazy? You're just getting her flowers that are going to wilt? Give her something that'll last a lifetime. Gold, silver, diamonds, jewelry. A girl's best friend are not wilting flowers. They're diamonds. So let me tell you, my friend, don't make a mistake. Rick Davis, gold and silver, with the shiniest diamonds at the best price. But you gotta get to Rick before the deals are all gone. Don't wait. Rick Davis, gold and silver. He's got your cash, 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 and more cash. And for Valentine's Day, lots of what she'll love.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Rick Davis, gold and diamonds. 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga.
It's Valentine's Day, a day to be happy when you have a baby.
McCune Williams and Ashley PLLC offers a full array of legal services to meet the needs of businesses and individuals. Our attorneys represent diverse backgrounds, interests, and legal emphasis, but we share one common goal: providing the highest quality legal services to our clients through the combination of our talents, experience, and expertise. In each case, we strive to tailor those services to meet each client's specific circumstances. Business law, business organization, civil litigation, commercial litigation, conservatorship and guardian law, bankruptcy law, just to name a few. With over 188 years of combined experience, McCune Williams Ashley PLLC is here to help you and your business succeed. MWALawfirm.com. That's MWALawfirm.com. Call 423-756-6400. That's 423-756-6400.
What? Oh no, I can't believe my phone screen is cracked. I cracked it. I can't believe my screen is cracked. I need my phone.
Whoa. Slow down, wild man. We've got an easy solution. Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Your cell phone repair doctor is on the job. Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Check out our brand new location. Just off I-75, Old Lee Highway next to Zaxby's. That's right, your cell doctor in Ottawa, Cell Surgeon, most of the time can fix your smartphone on the spot. Your cell phone repair doctor is on the job. Cell Surgeon in Ottawa. Check out our brand new location. Just off I-75, Old Lee Highway next to Zaxby's. Cell Surgeon for all your cell needs. Most repairs are performed in less than an hour. TheCellSurgeon.com. Go to TheCellSurgeon.com.
Daisy, get my cell phone out of your mouth right now.
We're at the Cantina at Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Yes, ma'am. 2 orders of nachos with beef and beans and 2 beers. Chattanooga loves its Amigos restaurants, but the Amigos in Hickson has something extra. NCAA, the week's big game. How about a house wine? Really good. Big name beers. Just tell Maria what you want. And here at Amigos, margaritas are popular. And it's only $3 a day. If you come here on a game day, Saturday, a Natty Light is only $2.25. Here at Amigos, just during NCAA, Natty Light, $2.25. Amigos Mexican Restaurant in Hickson. The happy hour is 3 to 9 today and every day. I'd say the atmosphere is festive. Look at that huge TV. It's like being amid the fans under a bright sun, but without all the heat. Stay cool. Quench your thirst. Amigos, between the Staples and Hobby Lobby. Take the table next to mine and enjoy the great NCAA game with friend or family here at the Cantina at Amigos Mexican Restaurant. Okay, it's starting. The NASCAR racer's ideal is quality and excellence. So is mine. Hi, David Tulis here. My pit crew is S&S Auto Repair. I've taken Toyotas and Hondas to S&S for 13 years, even though it's way out of my way. I like being treated fairly, like a neighbor. S&S specializes in Toyota and Lexus, Honda, Acura, Scion, Nissan, and Infiniti. Make an appointment today and get a free 4-inch combat knife as a gift. 855-3436. ssautorepair.net. 855-3436.
Charge! You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapani. The immigration debate is moving front and center in Washington. CBS News correspondent Stephen Portnoy has the latest from the White House.
The president will travel to the Department of Homeland Security to announce a series of actions, including his plan to get started on the border wall. Reports say he also intends to sharply increase the number of Border Patrol officers and in some way target the so-called sanctuary cities that have ordered police to not detain illegal immigrants. Reports also say the president will later this week announce steps to curb the flow of refugees to the U.S., possibly instituting a temporary ban on visitors from certain Muslim-majority countries.
Election officials around the country have not found evidence of widespread vote fraud, but President Trump insists that millions of illegal immigrants cast ballots, depriving him of a popular vote majority. CBS News correspondent Nancy Cordes tells us Republicans in Congress wish the president would turn the page.
They worry about the impression it creates here in America and around the world that the new president simply isn't playing with the same set of information as the rest of the federal government.
On Wall Street, the Dow Industrial Average finally got over the hump, crossing 20,000 after several failed attempts. Yahoo Financial columnist Rick Newman says investors have reason to be bullish.
It is a little bit of a continuation of the Trump rally, but we're also in the middle of earnings season, and earnings are coming in pretty strong.
In early trading, the Dow Industrials are up 117 points at 20,025. Environmental protesters are disrupting traffic in the heart of Washington. CBS's Steve Dorsey is on the scene.
High above me, several Greenpeace protesters are dangling from the top of a 270-foot tall crane. No rescue crews have reached them yet, but surrounding streets just a couple blocks from the White House are shut down.
The president's decision to revive the XL and Dakota Access Oil Pipeline projects isn't sitting well with environmental groups. Protesters say pipeline accidents could threaten vital water supplies. An oil industry spokesman says the potential rewards outweigh the risk. Some Trump supporters could be let down when the president names his pick for the vacant Supreme Court seat a week from tomorrow. CBS's Jan Crawford tells us the leading contender, federal appeals judge Neil Gorsuch, has solid credentials, but conservatives wanted someone else.
They were urging Trump to tap Alabama-based federal appeals court judge William Pryor. He's a former state attorney general, a highly regarded judge who has been at the top of President Trump's list from the beginning.
Track star Usain Bolt did nothing wrong, but he's lost one of his 9 Olympic gold medals because a teammate on the Jamaican relay team tested positive for a banned drug. Recapping Wall Street, the Dow Industrials are up 121 points. This is CBS News.
Getting a great night's sleep is easier and more affordable than you might think. You don't need a new expensive mattress or sleeping pills. You just need to change your sheets. Hi, I'm Scott Tannen, founder of Boll & Branch. What makes Boll & Branch sheets different is that they're meticulously crafted from pure 100% organic cotton. And because we only sell online, we've cut out all of the expensive retail markups. Plus, if you go to bollandbranch.com today, we'll give you $50 off your first set of sheets when you use promo code SOFT. bollandbranch.com, spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. Promo code SOFT.
HelloFresh delivers recipes and ingredients for a home-cooked meal in around 30 minutes. Like this recipe. Start with a working couple. Add 2 demanding jobs. Mix all too well. Receive HelloFresh delivery. Trim off temptation to order pizza. Follow step-by-step recipe until holy ravioli. You can add mushroom ravioli gratin to your resumes. Fist bump and enjoy. Delicious ingredients you'll love to eat. Simple recipes you'll live to cook. HelloFresh. Get cooking. Get $20 off your first delivery plus free shipping at hellofresh.com/radio.
On Friday, Britain's Prime Minister will have the honor of being the first foreign leader to meet with President Trump. But the loyal opposition isn't impressed. CBS's Larry Miller has the story from London.
In Parliament, Prime Minister Theresa May was warned not to sell out the UK in her desire for a trade deal. Opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn says there should be no blank check for Mr. Trump.
How confident is she of getting a good deal
from a president who wants to put America first.
But May insists she's got it all under control.
I am not afraid to speak frankly to a president of the United States.
Larry Miller, CBS News, London.
Italian Prime Minister Paolo Gentiloni is acknowledging what he calls delays and malfunctioning in the country's response to the avalanche that buried a mountain hotel. The death toll from the incident last week has climbed to 24, with 5 other people still listed as missing and feared dead. Frank Sedapani, CBS.
Here's what advertisers are saying about AM 1240. Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect a clear and chilly start here Wednesday. We'll see some more clouds roll in for the afternoon, but mild highs 62 to 65 with a late shower possible tonight. More showers will pass through, diminishing after midnight, lows lower 40s. Breezy, cooler Thursday highs into the upper 40s, around freezing by Friday morning. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special sauce. Open daily, locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, Ringgold, and now 5203 Brainerd Road. That's Guthrie's. And I'm Source 12's Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott Powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops the right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocks him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Here at Live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
The voice of NASCAR.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's David Tulis.
One thing that Alexis de Tocqueville noted when he traveled the country, the United States, in the 1830s or 40s was the presence of the familial, caring, helping spirit among Americans. He was the French conservative philosopher and historian, and of course his great book is Democracy in America, that has tremendous insights into the American character. And the thing he noticed, apart from the absence of police, the absence of the state, or the absence of government really everywhere, was the voluntary spirit of the American people. Their charities, their groupings, their efforts to help raise barns, to help raise town halls, to dig wells for neighbors, to give to the communal purpose, the civic mindedness of Americans is something that Alexis de Tocqueville made much of in his study of the country on his tour here in the United States. And that spirit is alive today. It is alive today, even though there are many things that would deter it, that would make it smaller, that would diminish its claim upon, you might say, the soul of the country. And that main enemy of the voluntary spirit is the compulsory spirit, just on the other side of the line, if you will. The spirit that says we can do things if we force people to pay for them and then make the program of benefit to some particular group go forward on that basis. And that, of course, is the taxpayer basis of much of what's done today. We force people to pay money by hook and crook. We strong-arm businesses to being tax collectors. We force everyone to be involved in paying rents for the houses that they think they own, but which in fact they don't, because they have to pay a rent for it through the privilege tax called the property tax. It's not a tax on the land directly. It's a tax on the privilege of owning the land. It's the privilege that is taxed, not the right to own land. It's kind of a game. It's kind of a false game. But on the other side of this compulsory system, which has erected public schools in Hamilton County and elsewhere, and many other ostensibly good things, we have this other spirit, the spirit of independence that you find in people such as Christy Bronson. Christy works in insurance, and she's married to her husband, Ron. He is in the concrete equipment business. He does all kinds of things. He knows how to use some of that equipment. They have 3 children together. 2 have graduated from Central High School off of Highway 58. One last child, a 10-year-old, will be going there very likely. And Christy, why are you concerned about this school? What is the problem at Central High that you, and in a program that's been publicized this week, what are you doing to help? What's the goal? What's the project?
I'm trying to get the word out there because the kids have been to the city commission meetings or the county commission meetings and the school board asking them to help repair their track. The track has been there since the school opened. on Highway 58, and it's never been touched. It's just sat there and slowly, year after year, deteriorated. So we're needing help from the community to help these students get this track built for them.
Well, isn't the county commission the community?
Yes, they are. And I understand that they have a lot of different schools that they have to worry about, and a lot of them need maintenance. So I decided to get the community together to help us do this.
Okay, so you're making a distinction, Christy Bronson, between the community and the representatives of the community who sit on the county commission and who have charge of paying for repairs. Is the problem with the commission that the members don't view a track as a priority? Is that?
I believe so.
What else is in the commission's view, in your understanding of their duty? What other things have higher priority, do you suppose, than a track?
Well, to my understanding, just like 4 years ago with Central, their roof was leaking very, very badly. So much that water was pooling in the classrooms. And I know there's another elementary school in the area that is the same way right now.
Well, all right. So you're going not to the representatives of the community, the commission, which of course spends everything it has by compulsion, by taxation. It is based on taxes. You're going to the community. Now, the community has talk about who these people are. What does the community mean? Who are these people? Why should they care? Why should they give a hoot about a racetrack at Central High?
This track, athletics is an important part of education. And I want to get this out to the people in the community, the Harrison community, the Chattanooga community, Georgetown, Birchwood, everybody in this area that lives in this area that may have graduated from Central, that may have went to Brown or Harrison Elementary, parents, grandparents of students, to help us do this, so that since we cannot get the help from the school board or the county commission.
Now, we're going to hear more about this, but there's a website in which you can go. You, my listener, can go if you'd like to chip in a few $100s or maybe a couple thousand if you are a man of means and not feeling the pinch of the loss of some digits in your account. It's a GoFundMe site. It's https:// of course, then gofundme.com/ and then the details are central-high-brown-middle-track. So it's central high brown middle track with some hyphens in there. You can find it, and there you can make a donation to Christy Bronson and her effort. So talk a bit now about this this effort, Christy, through GoFundMe. Talk about what are the mechanics of that? How does it work? Who gave you the idea? Who has helped you in this project?
Basically, the idea came up on my own. I started getting frustrated. I saw how much the kids were getting frustrated with not getting any answers from the school board and the county commission. And it's kind of funny because I was watching a lot of the pre-inaugurational stuff and saw a band from Alabama that had raised money over GoFundMe. It was like $650,000 for them to make the trip to the inauguration to march in the parade. And I thought, well, if they can do that, why can't we, to help them with a track?
Well, it seems like I question the accuracy of your statement. How would it cost $600,000 to get a band to Washington? But let's say it did cost that much. And your thought was, well, boy, just getting a band to go from one part of the map to another costing that much. And here we have a track which seems gigantic. And you're trying to raise $600,000. That is a gigantic sum, if you ask me. But it suddenly became possible that you could do this, Christy.
Right. I had thought about the idea, and then I talked it over with my husband, and he told me, he said, do it. It's not going to hurt anything to do it. So that's when I decided to do it.
And how complicated is it to create a GoFundMe account? What are the requirements to do that?
It's not hard at all. Anybody can do a GoFundMe page.
Now, there's an agreement when you do that 5% or so of the proceeds go to fund that website and the people who run it.
Correct.
What about the students at at Central, do they care about this? Are they somehow involved, or is it just you, the mom?
No. Oh,
The helicopter mom.
All the students are in on this. I have spoke with a couple of the senior students, the senior class president. We did a news story for one of the news stations. They're all in on this. They've come up with several fundraising ideas that they would like to do, but of course, it being cold right now, some of them they can't do until it gets warmer. So the GoFundMe page is kind of help out in the meantime till we can get more fundraising stuff going.
Well, let's say it takes you a year, Christy, to raise, let's say, $200,000. What happens then? You haven't gotten enough to do major work on the track. Would you just go ahead and have contractors use the money that you got in that first year? How do you start work only when you have the full amount?
Honestly, I would probably leave that up to the principal of Central. I'll let him make that decision whether he wants to keep going and us to keep publicizing it, or if he would like to get some of the money out and go ahead and start letting them do a little bit here and there.
Now, the people who donate money to the GoFundMe site for, let's see, the name is Central High Brown Middle Track. It's Central-High Brown, one word, hyphen, and then the word middle, and then hyphen track. That money is going for this track. And if the principal gets involved into the decision as to when to start spending the money, he can't use that discretion to say, well, actually, we need a new girls' restroom. We're going to spend the money on that. That's not part of the deal, right?
No,
this
is strictly for the track.
Strictly for the track. Well, let me ask you, Christy, about the idea of, I'll say, free market solutions to problems of the state. The Central High it functions as a state complex. It represents the state interest. It's under the Constitution. It's half funded by state government, and the other half is from the county and city taxpayers. What if this is really successful? What if you actually can get $600,000? Is it likely, or is it possible that in your mind other things could come up as well that would be objects of fundraising, things that are needful, say, in the town or in the area of Harrison or near your home? Can things be done privately that can't be paid for publicly, is my question.
Things can always be done privately, and there's always things that need to be done, especially with the schools.
Well, tell my listener what some of those things are. My listener is a man of means and very sympathetic. What are some things that need funding in the public sector, if you will, that don't seem to have access to the money pipeline?
I know there's not specific things, but I know that there's a lot of stuff that need to be done around Harrison Elementary, which is just across the street from Central and Brown. I know they have roof problems, and there's several other things that I don't know right offhand that they need. These buildings are not being maintained as they should, and they're falling apart. They're at Central. There's cracks in the outside wall that's not fixed.
So when the county builds a new school, it's making a commitment to maintain the capital asset, which is the building. And here we have some of these older schools. Central was built probably in the 60s.
Late 60s, I believe.
Right, around. There's a commitment that was implied in the construction of that facility that now is not being honored, you're suggesting.
Correct. I know when the school was built, when my daughter was there, she was a majorette in the band, and they actually found blueprints for an auditorium that Central was supposed to have built when the school was built, but it never was. It was forgotten about. And I know Central could really use that space, but they will not go near talking about it.
In the future, Christy Bronson, if we have an economic disaster as we had in 2008, I think there's a prospect of that happening, and there's also a prospect of people just being tired of paying taxes. Now, there's always been a simmering tax revolt in the heart of Americans. In some places, such as in California in the 70s, there were tax revolts that prohibited tax increases for let's say public schools. So if we have economic problems in the near future or in the future, which are, I'd say, certain, and they're highly necessary to right the economy, people will be fed up with taxes. That means that there's I'm suggesting a prospect a rising prospect for people wanting to cut taxes, which means more prospect for private fundraising for things that are deemed publicly valuable. And what do you make of that analysis? Is that possible? What can increase the people's interest in giving privately, even though they chafe at giving publicly through taxes? What could encourage them to really take up your banner here of track repair privately and have that and apply that to other areas of let's say schools or town potholes and the like?
Well, I mean, I agree with the tax part of it, because we pay taxes every year, but where is it going? We don't see it.
Well, let me ask you this. If people didn't have to pay taxes, if the county said suddenly we're going to get out of the school business in 5 years, because schooling is really something that can't be done by us effectively in centralized systems, we're going to rely on the marketplace to provide schooling services. We're going to rely on YouTube, Khan Academy, homeschooling, private associations, and the like. And in 5 years, we're going to stop funding public schools. Would that be a disaster, or do you think that the people in Harrison who now go to Central High and pay for Central High and pay the taxes, would they be suddenly unable to have education, or would there be a way around the dropping off of the tax-funded system?
Honestly, in my mind, the way I know the people of Harrison are, we're a community, we're a family, we stick together, we help each other out. I would hope that, yes, it could still work, that the public would be willing to help in the situations that we need to keep the education and the family at Central together.
So if the county said we're getting out of public schools in 5 years, and your thinking is in 5 years' time there would be enough associations created, 501c3 charities created to handle certain parts of that assignment, that all of you in the Harrison area would agree we can have our own schools, we can have 2 or 3, we can have a school for smaller children, one for middle children, and we're organizing it privately. We're raising money from companies, again, charitable giving, counting on the goodwill of local people. You're saying that, yes, there would be enough goodwill among people in the Harrison area to operate a community school not funded by taxes. You're saying that's possible?
I would certainly hope so.
Well, I would hope so too, but the question is a little harder than that. I mean, the question is it something that's possible? And I'm wondering if the answer is no, because people are so used to having things provided for by compulsion and then the service, of course, is free, right? We have free education, but it's paid for by a massive state and aggressive collections and taxation of 10% transaction tax in the county. And people are used to the free things that those provide. But think suddenly if you didn't have to pay 10% taxes on your sales, and you of your free will gave for the benefit of strangers' children in your part of town. That requires a lot of character, I think, and I'm wondering if Americans, my listener included, have that kind of charitable, civic-minded, communitarian perspective. And so, let me ask the question again: is that something that could happen? I mean, is there that well of, you might say, goodwill left in Americans to have that happen in 5 years if the county got out of the school business?
I believe there is. I mean, I always look at the best in people. And I know deep down there's people out there that would be willing to help. And
they'd be willing to pay the equivalent or more of what they pay in school taxes, you're thinking?
Yeah.
Well, I sure hope so. Here we come again. What could we project that? And you almost dare not make that projection. But I project that yes, it would finally come about if we just had a chance at removing from ourselves this compulsion and the payments for these compulsory systems. Would there be this sense of community spirit? And there are many people who are communitarians. They somehow talk about the university community, the policing community, the gay community, the downtown business community. These are not really communities; they're networks. But in Harrison, as in other parts of town, people live there, and so there is much more the sense because of the nature of geography. They all live in a particular area. They see the same hills and trees and intersections and stores every day and schools, and that's what they identify. They identify with Harrison, and they identify with the customs and the rhythms of that part of Chattanooga. And maybe they would if this county got out of the school business entirely. Maybe they would have that reservoir. You're hoping that they would. And you, Christy Bronson, who is, by the way, she's running a GoFundMe page. If you're just joining us, running a GoFundMe page for a Central High track repair, which is not making the cut of the county commission, and she's trying to raise with friends and Dondre Anderson at Central High and others $600,000 to repair a track, and that's through GoFundMe. You, Christy, you're counting on a hidden, I'd say it's hidden, a hidden reservoir of goodwill among people. And I raised the question because a lot of people would say, well, if you didn't have tax-funded schools, there would be no education at all. There would simply be anarchy. No one would send anyone to school. No children would ever be trained. No children would ever sit in a classroom, would ever learn math or writing or reading or civics. It wouldn't happen. They assumed that without the state providing the service, it would simply be a desert. I think that's a mistake. That argument is simply wrong.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So, all right, in a nutshell, tell my listener why he should make a contribution to the GoFundMe effort for the Central High School track.
I started this GoFundMe page because I wanted to get the community involved, the Central alumni, which I know are all a big family, to help these kids get this athletic facility that they need. I don't like the idea of these kids running on the side of Highway 58 or having to go across town to go to tracks to get used to the surfaces just for the sake of running a track meet. This track can be used for a lot more than just track. So please, if you can, go out and help with this GoFundMe page or any fundraisers in the future that we do for this track.
Okay, so it's a GoFundMe, and it's HTTPS. You have to have that. You have to write that in there. /www.gofundme.com. And then there's a slash and Central-High Brown, one word, Central-High Brown, one word, hyphen, middle, hyphen, track. Look at it on YouTube, just behind me here on the window. Christy Bronson, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Christy Bronson is raising funds, and she's confident that if there were no tax-funded schools, that the communities themselves, the neighborhoods themselves would rise up in support of community, local schools, all by association, all privately, without the benefit of the tax system. That's a very confident view of the American character, and I'm confident that she's right. This is David Tulis.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Final expenses, funeral costs, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.
$25 goes by quickly these days, and 25 cents still just a quarter. 25 is the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates.
Hi, I'm Chip Chapman with this question. Are you concerned about getting a timely refund this year? There is a solution. Ask Schultz & Associates about Refund Advantage. It's a no-interest loan that allows you to get your tax refund quickly. But some tax refund product fees do apply, so make sure and understand the details. You can receive your refund quickly via check or prepaid credit card. Ask about Refund Advantage when you visit Schultz & Associates, 6310 Bonnie Oaks Drive, or call 899-1130. Schultz & Associates.
Baseball sluggers often wear the number 25, or 25 is a full MLB roster. Just happens 25 is also the years of experience Schultz & Associates puts behind filing your tax return quickly, correctly, and electronically. Schultz & Associates, 899-1130.
Are you shovel ready to build a house, but you're not a builder? Are you shovel ready? Michael's Homes is ready to bulldoze its way to a solution for you. You have ideas on what you want in a house, but you're looking for someone to bring your ideas into a plan and turn your plan into a house. Michael's Homes, custom builder. Michael's Homes has lots available at a new subdivision, River Bay Estates, that's Harrison. Maybe River Watch in Saudi Daisy. Choices galore, lots, houses, beautiful homes all over Chattanooga. The Canyons, Hickson. Crystal Brook, Appison. Drive in, take a look, consult with us. We build on your lot or ours. Homes-Chattanooga.com.
Call 423-413-9929. And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field lines failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. That happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
Your marriage is over. You've been abandoned, betrayed. You're angry, shattered, and heartbroken. Don't go it alone. When you are facing divorce, you need an experienced advocate to help protect your rights in future. And you need it from a man with a sympathetic heart, but a hard nose. Attorney Clay Whitaker will fight for you in this most confusing and bitter time in your life. Clay Whitaker, 756-6400.
There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is a choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Nooga Radio News. Russell Stroud reporting. A high-speed chase from Bradley County into Hamilton County began when an officer noticed a man pull through a red light and not use his turn signal. He tried to pull over the man, but the man sped up and went on I-75 south towards Hamilton County. From there, Hamilton County Sheriff's deputies chased the vehicle until it crashed at the Bonnie Oaks exit. They surrounded the vehicle and arrested the man inside. Police say they found a .380 caliber handgun inside of his right front pocket and a bag of methamphetamine and ammunition inside the vehicle. The man's name, they say, is Brackus Ford, who's 22 years old from Cleveland. The outside lanes of the Hickson overpass over Highway 153 are going to be closed until May 17th, 2018 for repairs. You'll still be able to go over the overpass, but it's going to be a tighter squeeze. Senator Lamar Alexander says you should inject some Tennessee common sense into the federal system and repeal the federal death tax. That's the estate tax you pay when a family member dies. It's going on in the Tennessee Valley. It's going on Nooga Radio News.
Expect a clear and chilly start here Wednesday. We'll see some more clouds rolling for the afternoon, but mild highs 62 to 65 with a late shower possible tonight. More showers will pass through, diminishing after midnight, lows lower 40s. Breezy, cooler Thursday highs into the upper 40s, around freezing by Friday morning. For lunch or dinner, come to Guthrie's, home of the original golden fried delicious chicken finger with their special sauce. Open daily locations in Trenton, Signal Mountain, Ringgold, and now 5203 Brainerd Road. That's Guthrie's. And I'm Source 12's Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Christy Bronson, who's trying to raise $600,000 from private people, from companies, from alumni and alumna, alumnus plural, from alumni and alumnuses of Central High, is trying to raise a huge amount of money to fix a neglected walking or race track for the athletic program. And she is very confident about the American people. I expressed to her my doubts. I said we've been so long under state control. We've had so many wonderful things given to us by the fruits and privileges of taxation that we don't know how to raise money ourselves. We don't know how to do anything voluntarily and through the operation of grace. We've just forgotten. I didn't quite put it that way with this mother of 3 children who lives in the Harrison area and works at in an insurance office. I didn't quite put it that way, but the point was that we've been in Hamilton County and Chattanooga taxed for so long to provide schools that we somehow can't conceive of there being schools if there weren't taxation. In other words, the necessity of schools requires the necessity of taxation. We don't realize that if we have a necessity of schools, we can fund them by the voluntary giving of civic-minded, charity-minded, investment-minded businesses and individuals who live in the area and care about a particular part of town. That's how schooling should be funded. And I think as the collapse comes and hurts us, we face, all of us, you, my listener, and I face damage, great damage ahead financially to our personal portfolios, our net worths, you might say, in the coming meltdown. That we are going to be tired of taxes, and there will be, the tax revolt will rear its ugly head with vigor. The question I have, though, for her is there enough wherewithal of grace in the American character, despite these decades, a century, you might say a century of abuse and neglect because of the tax systems that we have? Is there enough grace in the heart of the average American person to pay for a Central High track, to pay for a Central High, apart from the compulsion of the county property tax, the transaction tax imposed by the state on all transactions, the transaction taxes imposed by the city and the county on all transactions? The rate altogether is about 10%. You pay an extra $10 for every $100 that you spend in the retail world. Can we have schools that are privately funded? And she said, I hope so. And I said, well, that's not really answering the question, Christy. Is there enough given our past as enjoying the fruits of taxation, right? Is there enough in our character to have a private support for your track, a private support for not just the track, but the school itself, the capital structure, the roofs, the parking lot, the overhead projectors, if they still have those, the computers, right? All the things, the banks of computers, the desks, the wax that the janitors apply on the floors every couple months to keep them shiny. All those supplies, the mop bucket, the new mop, all the things that go into the janitorial closet, the school's closet, the cafeteria, pantry, all those things that are paid for now by compulsion and taxation, making the whole thing free now, right? It's free for you. It's free for Christy Bronson. She got free education for two of her children, now 19 and 21, and she's awaiting the free benefit of schooling. It's not really education, it's schooling for a child who's 10, the last of her 3. We're used to it being free, and she says, to cut to the chase here, she says yes. She's confident that yes, if Hamilton County said in 4 years we are getting out of the school business. All right, beware. With Marketplace, beware. We're getting out. We're failures at this. We can't make it work. Our costs are far too high. Our costs are 4 or 5 times what they would be in the free market, and we want to quit taxation. We want to drop the tax altogether. Would the market respond? Would charitable impulses among people who live around a particular facility, maybe, would they contribute voluntarily to its upkeep, to its maintenance? And she said yes. And that, I think that's very, very positive. And it speaks highly of her. And it speaks highly of people like you, my listener. Could you have the wherewithal to support a school near where you live? You don't have children anymore. Okay. Your business doesn't touch educational services at all. Okay. You don't even have grandchildren of school age or living near you. Would you graciously support a school, a community school run by local people in a particular part of Chattanooga? Would you have the grace to donate for that school more than you might be now paying in taxes that would go to that school? And she says yes. And I think that's remarkable. And do you know what I suppose will encourage that kind of feeling? The disaster that I, David Tulis, your host here at the radio show sponsored by Nooganomics.com, I propose that we have a disaster ahead, a financial collapse, which is a day of reckoning that is highly needed. It's very much needed because it is an injection of reality into an artificial, unreal world, the one that reels around the head of the inebriate, right? The man who's drunk too much at the punch bowl. He's at a great party, and the whole country's been at the free money party, and we're all drunk. Every one of us in business, every one of us or investors, we're all drunken on something. We can't see the door. We can't find our way to the bathroom, and that party's going to end. The money being the liquor being the free money, right? Free money, artificially suppressed, low rates of interest, making borrowing free essentially. And giving the upper 1% their gigantic advantage over the working people. If you look at incomes among the top 1%, they have pulled away remarkably in the past few years from the incomes of common and working folk whose wages and livelihoods are stagnant under the impress of artificial Federal Reserve note money, right? The so-called currency that we have. She thinks that there is the internal goodness, and I say yes. It will be enhanced by the pain and suffering that will come across the American landscape, across the American economy, in the next contraction. There has to be a contraction. There has to be a return to real values, real valuations, real capital, and not the dream capital, the idea sphere money, if you will, the capital that circulates in the economy today, making everyone giddy. How giddy and excited we are, how confident we are, because we've had the injection of credit since the time of Nixon and the rise of the paper money economy and the financialized sector of the American economy, in which Donald Trump has made his millions and billions of dollars. He's a very wealthy man because he knows how to use that system in which promises to pay are negotiated and traded. Insurance payments on gains or failings or fallings, those are all funded. That's called financialization. And we have a hugely financialized national economy. My goal here at the David Tulis program and at Nooganomics.com, of which I'm the mild-mannered editor, right, with the sensible shoes, is to prepare my listener for the coming wreckage ahead. Not to scare anybody, but to make people understand why it has to happen, and when it happens, what we need to be about, what we need to be called to do. And so what we're trying to do is we laud Christy Bronson and the Central High Track fundraising on GoFundMe. We laud that, and we offer that as an example of the kind of spirit that is charitable, it's gracious, it's civic. And the word gracious, though, I write that in very large letters, because grace is the origin, even among people who don't have God, right? Even among people who don't know God or care about God, who don't know the sweet promises of the Holy Spirit, the grace of repentance, which is a grace, the forgiveness of sins, which is a grace. This, of course, is the theory of Christianity. Even people who don't know that theory can take part in this charitable venture. It is an operation of grace, in effect, mimicking the gospel, right? All charity mimics the gospel in some way, imperfectly, but it does generally, in the general parameters, mimic Christianity, where Christ saves the unworthy, gives the unworthy something that he does not deserve, and gives him a guide for life, his path in life being the law of God, the law which is summarized in the Ten Commandments, and which encapsulates God's will for mankind, and of course reflects his character, his holy and perfect character. That's what the law of God is all about. It's in the Ten Commandments. It's in Holy Writ, right? It's in the Bible, mimicked all around, mimicked by the Code of Hammurabi, mimicked in many ways by the Tennessee Code, annotated at numerous important points. And that is the word of grace. And private charity is copying that. And she's confident that there's enough good in the American character that has not been burned away by the welfare state, that can be revived. And I think it can be revived in short order. Look how Americans, as de Tocqueville pointed out, when there's a disaster, what do Americans do? They donate, they give, they send missionaries, they send truckfuls of goods, they send mountains of bottled water, they send beams and buckets of nails, they send electrical equipment, they donate left and right. Americans are just outstanding. We are, of course, a people of empire, the empire surviving on death, widespread death that we pour upon Muslims and other people around the world. But still, the people themselves, apart from the mechanism of the neoconservative, neoliberal establishment, the people themselves have in their heart this good thing, a remnant, you might say, a spiritual remnant of their pre-Christian days, or their days when largely the theme that ran through American culture and even in the founding, Christianity, Christian principles, very strongly noticeable, very strongly present. Well, this is David Tulis, and I do thank you for giving me just a couple of minutes of your time. I wanted to say just briefly about the campaigns for mayor. And you're asking me what's my take thus far? Whom should I vote for? People ask me this question, and somehow they expect me to answer the question. Well, you should vote for so and so. Well, I'm not about that, really. And what I want to do is, because I'm confident in you, my listener, here at the David Tulis Show, I don't have to give directions like that. I don't have to say you should vote for X. That's really kind of beneath me. I think what you do, if you read Nooganomics.com, if you follow some of my work at Chattanooga.com, for example, I think John Wilson today will be posting a very important interview that Dave Crockett gave to me. He'll be posting that today. Just go to Chattanooga and look later today at Chattanooga.com about that. If you follow my work, you'll kind of know generally how I look at the world, and I hope to influence you in this direction, in these sharing presuppositions. A presupposition is a way of thinking that is sort of inarticulated, but it does have a basis. Presuppositions are always religious in nature. Okay, every presupposition has at its root a conviction about ultimate causes and ultimate reasons, and that would be another way of saying a conviction about who God is, right? And whether you're an atheist or a Muslim or a Hindu or an American Indian or a Christian or a member of the liberal Methodist Church here in Chattanooga downtown, you have a presupposition about who God is, and either God is a kind of a wishy-washy party of lenity and forgiveness and grace, or he's a party of sovereign grace, or he's a Mohammedan legal structure with the 7 obligations of the Muslim. And my presuppositions, I hope to share with you, and I hope that you take them on a little bit, that you try them out for size. Okay, I'm not trying to change your mind necessarily on really anything, but I do believe in small degrees, and having you, my listener, kind of take on just a little bit my line of questioning. Okay, that way you can be the slow man of Chattanooga too, because that's what I am. I'm the slow man of Chattanooga. I always ask the dull questions, the stupid questions that you're not supposed to ask, the questions that the dolt asks. That's me. I ask the dolt questions. And I do that because I know that they're the ones you have. You and I were both dolts. And so we just don't get Andy Burke. We don't get Andy Burke. And so we'd love to ask Andy Burke some questions if he would just respond to emails. His campaign does not respond to emails. And I think as the election draws nearer, I'm going to call Andy Burke every day during the show and try to reach him. That might be a little game we could play. and see if we can reach a human being at the other end of that inaccessible third floor of City Hall. City Hall is a fortress today, and if you want to talk with Andy Burke, you have to fill out a form. This is what I'm hearing from the challengers who promise to have a more open government. But my presuppositions are the slow man questions, and I do want to benefit you by having you ask them with me. Okay, you ask the question, the dull questions, the dumb questions, and David Tulis is just about to utter the same question at the same moment. We asked them together of Andy Burke. We asked them together of Chris Long, the candidate for mayor, for Dave Crockett and Larry Groen. So what's my take on the campaign thus far? I'm thinking that Larry Groen is let's compare Crockett to Groen. Groen is more technical. Groen is administrative in his nature. What he views as reforms and big projects are in Crockett's, compared to Crockett, they're not quite as extensive and not quite as vast. Crockett, of the three challengers, has the most, you might say, the most experience in politics. He has the most experience running for office, for holding office. He was 3 times a city council member. But the thing about Crockett that you may have already read among my work is that he has a view of the country, and he has a view of the post-state viewpoint. And that is something that I can't not mention prominently. Now, that's not part of his campaign in a prominent way in his public pronouncements and so on, but it is, as far as the thinking man goes, that these are exceptional insights that he has about the post-state status of things. And he doesn't talk about financial collapse. He does mention the collapse of the grid and favoring decentralized, distributed solutions. And that the idea of the distributed solution is something that implies not government, but implies the marketplace. And I say this just briefly to suggest to you the difference between Crockett and Groen. Groen is connected to the conservative, Christian, Republican-oriented, Tea Party-oriented voter and business person and resident of Chattanooga. Crockett has been sort of off the scene lately, though he was in charge of the Office of Sustainability, riding shotgun on a federal grant of about $1.8 million, and that the money on that ran out, I think, in maybe 2013 or so 3 or 4 years ago. And so he's not been kind of in the public eye as much. He's, of course, making consulting trips elsewhere in his business. But Crockett has larger ideas than Groen. Crockett's scale of operation is larger. His foresight about the need for the city-state model is, for me, the leading Nooga-centrist in Chattanooga. That is, for me, important. And the idea, in a nutshell, that David Crockett describes is the idea of the city-state. The city becomes independent. Cities are already extraordinarily important in the American political landscape. They decide elections if it weren't for the Electoral College, which injects the kind of disproportion that again represents the voters and keeps the cities from controlling the presidential election. Crockett has the idea that there needs to be self-coherence, okay, internal coherence. There needs to be a sort of self-determination of the city. And so he's been involved for a decade with the City States Associates, which is a group that talks about, you might say, regional government, trans-border government, which I, as a constitutionalist, have rejected. I have rejected that as simply adding another layer of government. But Crockett, having talked with him and received some detailed discussion with him, is making me see that it's not that simple, right? It's not that simple that if you're for the idea of a city-state, that somehow you're against constitutional government. And so there you have, in my mind, a kind of a struggle between constitutional government, restraint on the state, and the idea that we're going to have a kind of self-determination that disregards, and this is the thing that his environmentalism points out. We have to disregard borders. Air disregards borders, water disregards borders, pollution disregards borders, and that's what Crockett says. And so his idea is of a self-identifying area of Chattanooga, which is of course bigger than the city limits, but it is a cultural and socioeconomic concept. It's organic. My interest is more legal and more structured than his, but he has a vision that's really far beyond the other candidates, whether you like it or not. This is David Tulis.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
On this cruise ship, your favorite pool makes its own way. The sun is getting low. You're not too bad yourself. Smart guy. Took advice and deals from Expedia in Chattanooga. Great food, great fellow passengers, made friends. Terrific prices, free upgrades. Use the card with the onboard credit for a cold one. Maybe use it in the game room. Expedia Rail, Expedia Flights, Expedia Cars. Maybe red tie for dinner. Expedia Cruise Ship Centers on Gun Barrel near Best Buy. 551-3770.
Cash, 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 and more cash. No, but it'll get you the gold, silver, and diamonds just for her that may get you some loving.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
It's for Valentine's Day. Are you crazy? You're just getting her flowers.